into Project Looking Glass, and we're going to go into all these different facets of his experiences. And by the way, visit my website at supersoldiertalk.com. There is a great interview that Daniel Sala put together with John. It's I don't know if I'll be able to top that interview, but I will do my best. So go. Yeah. Okay. So John served in the secret space program under different alter names. John's alter was sent to Vega Prime, and then later in Solar Warden. His other alter, Heinrich, is a German diplomatic officer who was loaned out to the Deep Space Fleet Space Navy, which is another name for the JDFC, the Joint Defense Force Command. During this time, he was tasked with setting up new trade agreements, settling disputes, and setting up colonies within the breakaway. Heinrich was stationed on the USS Hochler, which is 6 miles long. His second alter, Jared, is an archaeologist in the ICC, and John believes he is still alive. Another alter of his, Adam, served in Solar Warden, which later split into Radiant Guardian. Adam also served on the Europa. Oh, served on Planet Europa. Sorry, Planet Europa. I got the moon. Sorry, New Nuremberg on the moon Titan, Victoria Colony on Mars, and also on the moon of Ganymede. Adam served as an immigration officer for our solar system. Today, John will be talking more about this and his Alex alter, who was stationed at Montauk in the 1960s and then transferred to Project Looking Glass in the mid-70s. So, yeah, maybe I got a little tidbit on here about Planet Centurion, where he met Paul Serene, who was the head of Monarch. John?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Wow, this is quite a list of on your bio. How many years do you think you actually served out there?
I did the math once. It's somewhere roughly like close to 300 years.
Wow. So I guess we can joke about it. So I'm assuming your pension fund must have millions of dollars in it, but the reality of the situation is you were pretty much utilized as a slave, I guess.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah, in their opinion, they considered it a privilege to work for them for 300 years, so that's why they think they don't need to pay you or pay us for others.
I guess so.
Okay. All right. Well, would you like to add anything else to that bio that I might have missed?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, let's go back to your early Montauk experiences. So how does this, how would you actually start this story here that you went through?
Well, that is a difficult question to answer because from that very early phase, a lot of the memories are very fragmented, but one of the possible narratives I've put together and the one that makes the most sense to me is that I'm actually someone named Alexander Bronsley who was born in the 1950s, and that I'm currently displaced in time, and that he was one of the first kids taken to Montauk in the early 60s. And so
how did you get from the modern era, the current present, back to the 1960s? Or is this your soul has been fragmented in another live stream? How does this work?
From what I can tell, I was, like I said, I was born in the 50s, so I was a kid in the 60s, and I was taken there, from what I can recall, I was taken there in a black van from,
Bless you.
Sorry. From, I believe I was literally snatched from outside my home, and that, my family, who is also not my biological family, that I was with at the time, that's a whole other story, but, the family I was with at the time, had their minds wiped, and it was as if I had never existed. Um, and so then I have a pretty distinctive memory of arriving at Camp Hero, being led. Well, first there was the processing, as they called it, in the radio tower, where we had our names taken. We were stripped down, hosed off, and shaved.
How old were you, John, at this particular point?
I was 7.
Okay. And what was the state of your mind? Were you like asking for your parents? Do you remember, or
I
was
was. I was, and the funny thing is, I still can't even remember their names, but I was asking for them, and I was terrified. Like, I had no idea what was happening to me. Um, Given the era, I probably kind of thought I'd been kidnapped by the Soviets or something. But, and I
well,
have,
John, why do you think they chose you at this point?
I believe because I believe I was always destined to be taken for this, that I am actually a hybrid that was created in a lab. Um, and
Is there
that,
a connection with your blood type, maybe,
yes, there
or
is
oh,
with I'm AB negative blood typed, which is the rarest blood type, by the way. There's only a couple million of us on the entire planet. And from what I've been told is that through secret CIA research, they've discovered that AB negative people have the highest amount of Anunnaki DNA of all humans. So we have uh, what Max Spears referred to as blood group B, what James Casbolt referred to as blood prime, what Penny Bradley refers to as the metagene, and so on.
and there's also a connection with you actually getting your memories back because of your blood type. Because I've been trying to figure out the pattern. Why is it Tony has full recall? We have Jean Charles Moyen, even Alana Denon, and then we got so many others. So why is it that you think that you're having your recalls and some of the other people are struggling? What do you think it is?
I believe that's also blood type related, that this technology for mind wiping was made for normal humans, not for AB negatives. So it just doesn't work as well.
I understand. Okay. All right. So continue on. You're being debriefed, I guess, or at Montauk. What's
We,
the next step?
we weren't debriefed for a while. We were hosed off, shaved down, and put into white pajamas, and then led into the infamous cage room. And I almost never have the audio portion of my memories, but for this particular one I do. There was this kid, he couldn't have been older than 14 or 15, who let us in there, and he said, "Welcome to Camp Hero. I hope you like it here, because the only way out is through the chimney."
What? That's
It means like
crazy.
being
Wow.
that means like being cremated, basically.
Yeah.
It means you're not getting out. So
Wow. And so, wow. So you're in a cage. Were there other kids there in
oh
cages?
yeah, oh tons of them. Yeah, it averaged at about 3 kids per cage.
And do you remember, I guess I get to the nitty gritty details. Did they give you clothing? Did they take that
Yeah,
away? Okay.
yes, we had white pajamas.
Well, and what kind of, I mean, what was the food like at the mess hall?
Wasn't much. It was like like powdered eggs and like instant oatmeal and things like that.
Okay. All right. So can you explain what it is they told you they wanted you to do for them?
Well, very little, honestly. You kind of just learned what you were supposed to do because you got beaten if you weren't doing it right. Um,